All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kylan Abuaita, and this is my ITP 419 internship report. And it is about Palm Wonderful located in Fresno, California, as I was a continuous improvement intern there. And the goal for the presentation today is to just go over some of the things that I've done for that internship and a little bit about the company as well. Some of my takeaways, what I learned from this experience, as well as some of the industry knowledge that I've gained from it as well. So just to go over that and give a little background and a little bit more information on Palm as well. All right, so about Palm. So Palm is located in Del Rey, California. So that's right outside of Fresno at about a 30-minute commute, which wasn't that bad, but I got to learn a lot about the Central Valley, especially being in downtown Fresno, a little more north towards the suburbs, but I got to experience a lot. And Palm, that plant that was located there, is the only manufacturing plant in the US, and they have multiple DCs all over the US, but that was the only manufacturing plant. So to be a part of that team was an absolutely amazing experience. It was about a 450-acre plant, and it was divided into like three main areas where it was the beverage area, so the blending and the juices, in the plastics, as well as the whole pomegranates itself, selling those, and then as well as the arrows. So I'll go over the products in the next slide, but that's just a little bit about Palm. I had James Navarro as a continuous improvement manager, and I was a continuous improvement intern. I was there for 10 weeks total. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was a unstructured internship. So what I like about that is everything's in real time. So every time a problem comes up, you're part of that team that's there to solve it. There's nothing planned. So that was truly amazing. And a little bit about the wonderful company too, because I got to work with a lot of people with the capital projects team and a lot of people that worked for the corporate team. So the wonderful company does own Palm and a couple of other subsidiaries, such as Halos, Pistachios, Fiji Water, some vineyards as well, like Landmark and Justin Vineyards. So the wonderful company owns that by the Resnick family, and they send a couple of capital project teams to each subsidiary to provide support. So I got to work directly with them along with James Navarro. So that was a truly amazing experience with them. So a little bit about the Palm products. So I specifically spent my entire internship time working in the beverage area. So specifically just the pomegranate bottles, the plastics efficiency team, as well as getting to see blending and filling operations as well. And it starts completely from the plastic resin. It goes to injection molder, makes preforms, and then it goes to blow molding, and then it goes to then it moves to decorating the bottle, so getting that label on there, and then filling, and then packaging and distribution. So getting to see that whole process and working with them directly. This is a seasonal company, so the season starts in the beginning of October. That's when they get their first shipments of pomegranates. They keep a lot of their pomegranates in cold storage, so they can continue to make the juice throughout the entire year. So that's why I got to work in the plastics beverage area. But I did not get to see the arrows side of things. So the arrows is the product in the middle. This is their highest grossing product. It's very popular every single year. So the pomegranate arrows I didn't get to see, but the capital team was working on an arrows improvement project. So I got to hear a little bit about that. And then as well as the super teas on the far right side. So these were blends as with the pomegranate juice as well. So everything comes with pomegranate, but these were like super teas. So they had a bunch of flavors in them as well. So it created some variability in manufacturing. So getting to work on that, I got to see a lot of the problems that came with having different colored lids and meeting the same quality as the original pomegranate juice. So in terms of getting industry exposure, I would say the projects that I got to work on and meeting the people was the most impactful part of my experience. And what was so great with working with people is you get their expertise as well. So when I came into my internship experience. I've had a previous supply chain internship. I've worked in raw materials, I've worked in finished goods, I worked on the manufacturing floor before, but to go to a completely different side, it was a spice manufacturing, to go to a beverage manufacturer. It was completely different, but you got to see some practices. But most of awarding was working with people and getting their knowledge and expertise. So the middle picture was one of the first projects I was put into, and it was something I was pretty familiar with. It was finding defect rates and the costs associated with it, and identifying the problem. So to not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. For that project, I went to collect data at all three shifts in the same day, first, second, and third shift. And so it was a very long day, but I got to see data from a completely new perspective, which helped the team identify exactly where the problem was coming from, which influenced the projects on the left and right side. So on the left side, that AutoCAD right there, just working on a relocation project. So moving some of our current equipment and reorganizing the floor so we can go in a sort of inline conveyance direction. That's what I was working with the capital project team. So creating layouts, working with AutoCAD for the first time. That was definitely a lot to work with in terms of never doing it before and having to make big plans and report out and give presentations on those layouts. That was truly amazing. And then trying to figure out the difficulty it comes with moving these big equipment. So on the right is an exhaust fan that I did not know about, and towards the end of my demo process, I knew I was going to move this exhaust of this machine. I was talking to a contractor. And, I don't know everything about these machine parts, so asking him questions uh, about installing the machine, demoing the machine, and he brought up the exhaust fan in the roof. He was like, "Have you seen it? Do you know how big it is?" And then to go up there and see it welded to a giant AC unit, and it's massive. Now I got to put in new costs associated to that as well. It's going to take more time to move that. So now we have to rent a crane, which costs money, and we need to move this exhaust to a new location. We need to pick the location for it. We can't just go through a hole, and we need roofing to come in as well. So to step outside and work with the contractors as a third party was definitely beneficial to getting some exposure in the industry. And just some of the lessons that I learned. You're not going to be an expert in everything you do. And I think that's what makes the internship amazing, or whatever experience you're doing it in whatever industry, is you're not going to be an expert, and that's totally fine. You have to go in, you have to get familiar, you have to start from scratch, and you're going to have to pull resources together, and you're going to have to meet new people that are experts in this area, but you also don't want to take too much of their time at the same time. So knowing that their time is valuable, but also pulling the necessary information to help your project can go a long ways, and you get to develop trust with that person as well. So connecting the right people together to find missing pieces of information, that was very valuable, and to also manage your own responsibilities. um, I learned towards the end of my internship, as I was being a little bit of, I was a coordinator, a CI coordinator. So I was working on a project, and I asked them if they could tell me when the next changeover was happening so I could record the data, and they completely did it without telling me. And I realized the mistake that I made is that as a coordinator, I can't be putting my responsibilities on their responsibilities. A lot of these production managers, they have their own stresses, their own work to do on the floor, and it's a lot more than me sometimes. So to put my responsibilities on them, it's going to hinder their ability to do their job. So to realize that, and to get hands on and be in the trenches with them, trying to figure out what problems are arising, that was very helpful for my internship experience. And I learned that later on. So, but to know that now and carry that into the future, and how I was able to capture the next changeover time, because I was there at 5 a.m. making sure any problems that were coming up, I was going to be there for that and collect all the necessary data I needed for the management team, and to not miss any opportunities. Um, You're going to be placed in situations where you're not going to know um, exactly what that project entails, but sometimes you just got to roll with it. You got to throw yourself in. And the only time you're going to get awareness is that when people notice that you're doing a great job and you're being everywhere at the same time. And to talk to tons of people and never getting stuck behind your desk, as well as doing work outside of 9 to 5. I realize that has played an impact as well, and that management notices that you are answering emails after hour. And people are always going to tell you not to do this, but I truly believe if you want to be great, you're going to have to put in that time outside of it and that effort outside. And there's a lot of times where I was cranking in a project and I would go home and do research and send more emails and practice my presentations over and over again so I could deliver the best results that I possibly could for my time there. You have a limited time while you're there, so making an impact, making a large impact is much harder. So to dive in and jump on any sort of project whenever needs be, so that can go a long way. And to obviously be the ultimate team player, you don't want to be individualistic. It's very easy to think about yourself and to imagine that you want to do the best that you possibly can, but you also got to remember that you're working with a team and there's other people as well that are all moving towards the same goal, to recognize that their time is valuable and to recognize that every person is diverse and different and have their own contributions and values to the team. But also to apply that effort as well and to bring the energy. I like to say bring the energy because whenever you have a conversation with that person and you leave that conversation, they are feeling good about that because you just brought the energy into their day and you made them laugh a little bit. You got to engage on a good conversation. I always thought that to be beneficial and to be just be a likable person, and to not get bogged down and not have a bad attitude and always have be enthusiastic and optimistic at the same time. It can go a long way. So when people are thinking about who they want to put on that project, who can handle those responsibilities, they're going to think of the guy that brought energy to the team. So, and that is really it for my presentation. It was an absolutely amazing experience. I recommend to go towards this working with a smaller company. I've seen a lot of times that people want the big name of big companies and they don't necessarily provide all the resources or the time to support you during your your internship. So if you want the best experiences, if you want the best stories to come from your internship, I would do it at a smaller company because that's where you're going to be most involved. And that's where they're going to need your help the most. And a lot of people worked virtually and didn't get to work on that many projects. And they just don't have as many stories as someone who was hands on, boots on the ground in a manufacturing plant, trying to figure the problems that were coming up every single day. So thank you.